Alright, another one off the cuff. Bad lighting. Whatever. I've been walking around teaching the maths and whatnot, and I was thinking about a conversation that I had ages past with a friend of mine. And she was talking about her hormonal fluctuations and how they influenced her experience of the world. She's very aware of that. And she was talking about the fact that her husband also experiences hormonal fluctuations that affect his mood, and he's completely unaware of that. And so, whereas she might be having an unfortunate bit of cognitive weather and she can go, okay, well, this is going on, and, so I need to make allowances for that and be mindful of how I'm interacting with people. He's cruising along and he's got no idea that anything has changed as far as he's concerned. He's just this static thing that exists in the world, and every day he's experiencing the world the same way. And so there's no making allowances for how one's internal hormonal environment shapes how one interacts with the world, right? So for the dudes, you got hormones too. They fluctuate. All of your different, the balance between all of your different neurotransmitters will fluctuate based upon your diet, based upon recent experience, how much you've exerted yourself, all sorts of things, right? And you may have sort of shorter and longer term fluctuations, all these different effects interacting with each other, changing how you experience the world. And you got to get on top of that. You got to keep that in mind if you want to be reasonable in your interactions with your fellow human beings. And if you ever need some evidence of that, if you're ever really like, I'm skeptical that it's the case that my hormonal environment really influences my experience of the world, go hang out with some teenagers sometimes. I work with a fair number of teenagers as a math tutor, and they are shits so often. And it's really apparent in dealing with them that they, one, aren't aware of how they're behaving. They're just being rude and snarky and generally awful. Sometimes to me, very often to their parents. And when I point that out to them, they're like taken aback. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm being rude? What do you mean I'm being terrible, right? And I don't think that they're being disingenuous. They just really don't perceive the way that they're behaving in that way. And it's surprisingly uniform. When they're being shits, they're being shits in consistent ways, and to the extent that I laugh at some of my students and they're like, what are you laughing about? I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just, I know stereotypes exist for a reason, but you cannot be any more 14 right now. Like, this is just incredible. And so, we see this entire subset of our population who has these consistent changes in the way that they perceive the world and the way that they behave based upon the fact that they have an altered hormonal environment. And we might want to track how that sort of effect on a smaller scale persists into adult life. If you want to be a happy human being, it helps to understand the forces at play in building up your experience, right? So we have to make some choices, but some things are out of our hand. And so there are going to be cognitive biases that exist because of our hormones, because of our neurotransmitters, that we got to be on top of so that we can exercise sort of the degrees of freedom that we have. We can pull the levers that are available to us in a manner that creates an experience that's positive, that's life-affirming, that's fulfilling. So, and I feel that dudes aren't getting that memo, right? We're not getting that to the same extent that the ladies are, because they have, a cycle that they have to manage on a more overt way, yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say about that. So, dudes, pay attention. Start picking up on how changes in the chemical environment of your brain are affecting your experience. Make informed choices about how to account for those biases, and pull the levers to get towards a happy human experience. That's it. Cheers.